Hello friends, Erin here. Do you ever have those scrapbooking layouts that for whatever reason they will not come together, so you end up walking away from it and maybe coming back to it a few months later, or maybe you have not returned to that layout? Well, today I'm going to take a second go at a layout I started last year, and I've got some ideas, so let's see if we can make it happen. I actually started this while at a team retreat in Texas last November, and in my defense, I primarily took supplies to create Christmas layouts. So I didn't have a lot of things to embellish, and I didn't have the right ink colors and cardstocks. So I knew I wanted to use the Otterly Adorable paper. I think is going to be perfect. You'll see why here in a moment. But we were on an excursion in Mexico, and I keep wanting to say underwater cenote, but it was a closed cenote, which is a, cave with water in there, and it was beautiful. They had it all lit up, and it was quite the fun adventure. Here's the group I was with. A lot of we were all close to my heart makers because this was our incentive trip for 2024. There is my husband and I. So they had a professional photographer down in there taking our photo, and they'd have us like splash and do different things. And then you could buy the photos, which of course, as scrapbookers, we had to have the photos, right? A couple little bats hanging from the ceiling there. There's another photo of my husband and I. And then back to that main photo of the cave there. Just really pretty the way they had the lights illuminating the water. So I want to use this paper because if you look at this one, it matches perfectly, but it looks like rock, like the rock work here in the cave. And then if you look at like this little paper here with all the pebbles, it pulls in all of the colors. So you have the grays, and then you have the orange. This is actually Calypso coral, but it really makes, brings out the orange in our life jackets here. And then there's a couple different, colors of water paper in this collection. I've already used quite a bit of this, but that's okay. I actually think the tones of this one go better with the photos. I mean, really you can go either way because some of them are more blue, but I'm going to use these three today primarily. And while we were down in there were teeny tiny little fish that would come up and like actually bump your leg and stuff. They were pretty cute. So there's this fish paper here, and I thought, well, that might be kind of fun to bring in to help document the memory. So let me scooch this out of the way here and we can get started. This definitely needs to be a double page layout, and sometimes when I don't have an inspiration layout, I will start on just the main left side here, and then I create a companion page to go along with it. So I really like this photo of my husband, and what I was thinking originally is I kind of had started this while in Texas at the team retreat. I knew I want to use this. And then I had cut this 10 by 10 square. So that creates this frame style layout. And then I was also wanting to use a strip of this water paper. I love the back side too. It's actually really, really cool. So there's no like foliage in the photos, but it was very jungly while we were driving to the cenote. So I might bring in some jungly looking plants there. But this is kind of how far I got while in Texas. And then I was thinking I would bring in this pebble paper to kind of have a strip across the bottom for my photo to sit on. And then these were kind of like that. So that's as far as I got. And then I was kind of struggling with what to do over here. And it just wasn't coming to me. So anyway, now that I'm home, I've been brainstorming about this layout. And I think what I want to do is bring this rock paper over to the other side. But one of the issues I ran into is I already used a couple of the otters to embellish another layout. So that kind of dictates what I can do. I don't have, there's not a big enough border around here to replicate, this frame style layout. So then I'm thinking, well, maybe I could bump this over. I do have more of this. Got another piece here. So I could theoretically cover up this right here. And then we could do something like this. And then maybe we'll bring in a white piece here to kind of match the other side. So then I was thinking this photo is true 4x6 and these two are a little bit shorter. So we could do something
like that, perhaps. Maybe put these two on the same plane and then these on the same plane. So that's one idea. It kind of bothers me that this photo is longer than the others, and it's just the way they were taken. I couldn't crop it down. I didn't want to cut into this whole piece, and I did have some scraps. So we are going to piece this together and make it work, because we're going to go behind this photo and then no one will know it is not one long piece there going all the way across. So that is 2 inches by 12, we'll just say. So I think I want to carry it across here also. I'll still need a piece for right there, but we can put this scrap here. You know what I need? I need white. I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece like that. I think the white will just brighten up the whole layout. The photos are dark and now the background is kind of dark, so I think this will be a nice addition. We can bring our photos back in here, and I'm thinking this up here, so I'm dividing the orange up in that triangle, the orange in the photos. But you know, those 2 pictures up top, I don't like the footprint. What if we actually moved this 4x4 there and switch these out? I feel like that fits that space up there a little bit better. But let's actually move the bat on the inside so it'll fit on that paper. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Sometimes you just have to rotate things around. I want to bring in more color, so I cut a piece of pretty Peacock cardstock for my photo mats. That color is featured in that pebble paper running horizontally across the layout. So we'll go ahead and adhere this down, and then off camera I'll get a photo mat cut for the remaining photos. I just wanted to test it out first. But for the 2 upper photos on the right, I'm going to mat those together on one piece. Since I had all of my Christmas and winter supplies, I used the frozen edges dies to cut this, which is icicles, but I thought how perfect for a cave layout. This could be like stalactites hanging from the ceiling, which you see in the photos all around us. And I want to add a little bit of texture. So I've got my textured timber, and I am wanting to use this one. It's kind of like a birch bark, but I think it'll be nice just to put some kind of striation in the rock, because when you see the stalactites hanging down, they kind of have that appearance. So let me put out a piece of scratch paper here, and then let me just bring this over. I'm using gray granite, the same color, so it'll be tone on tone, but it'll be darker with the stamping. It would have been fun to hang these from the top of the layout, but it didn't really go along with the design, and I think it looks better hanging from the bottom of the paper. So we are going to go with it. It does not have to be literal. We just want to capture the vibe of what it was like in the cave. Just a bit more stamping here, then we can fill in any spots we missed. And then to give this a little bit more definition, I'm adding the same ink to the bottom of the little icicles, if you will. Unfortunately, this die set sold out. It was in the last chance section and it went quickly, but you could cut them on your Cricut or Silhouette, or maybe you have a grass die in your stash and you could use it in this manner. So I'll go ahead and create one for the right hand page. Let me bring my photo back in, and I repeated the exact same process here. It makes me so happy to get more use for my supplies and use them in unexpected ways like this. I used them already on a glacier layout as icicles, and now this was a really fun way to put these to work. While thinking about how to embellish this layout, I was kind of looking at the photos. So we have bats here, and I went through my Halloween stamps, and almost all of my Halloween stamps have a bat. There's a bat there, and then this one, and I thought he looked kind of the most realistic, less Halloween. Some of them are just, this one's cutesy, this one's kind of faded, has a distressed look, so I thought this one would be good, so we'll stamp out a couple bats. And then I grabbed the Otterly Amazing stamp set, which coordinates with this collection. In the die set, there's a bunch of little rocks and then the fish. So I could bring in some of those. And again, I mentioned I might bring in some greenery sprigs. We will see. And then we're wearing life jackets. And I knew in my lake life category, I had this Let's Kayak stamp from Close to My Heart with a life jacket. So I actually already stamped that out, and I colored it in with the Calypso Coral Stampin' Right marker. So that turned out pretty good. Looks just like the life jackets we're wearing there. So I thought that was kind of fun. And then Another thing to consider is the activity itself. So we are exploring. We're kind of on an adventure. So I have a lot of adventure themed stamps and different, things like this. So I already went through this. These are actually the Paper Studio stickabilities, and they are, you can see they're all kind of like hiking and exploring and outdoor type stuff. So the only one that really worked with this layout is this one, Explore. So I thought the orange looks nice. And again, we are definitely exploring. So that's an idea. And then I thumbed through my embellishment binder and saw this little black camera in here. And cameras always work. So now all of a sudden I'm starting to get lots of things to embellish with. We have words and cameras. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp out some of these little bats here.
Now the bats in the photo are brown. I'm going to stamp mine in black because I introduced black with the camera die cut. So I think this will complement that nicely. I'll go ahead and get these die cut out with the coordinating die. And again, we're getting more use from our supplies. These are Halloween stamps, and now we're using them on a cave layout. So I know I want to cluster here, and actually these are kind of looking nice clustered together. I like my things touching, kind of all nestled together. So maybe we'll tuck the camera in just like that. We'll have Explore on top. And then maybe we could add the little bat here. Let's wait on those. For my title, I turned to my Cricut. I have Cenote Adventure. I designed this myself using several different pieces. I created an offset and then flattened it so I could use the print and cut feature. And then I also showed you those cute little rocks. So I cut those from gray granite paper, and then I cut a tag from that fish paper. So my journaling is also on a tag, and this is something I actually do frequently. I'll layer like a colorful tag or pattern paper behind my journaling and create like a little cluster. So now I'm thinking we could fill in the bottom with all of these fun little pebbles here. So there's 3 altogether using the dies, 2 larger and a smaller. And I want to add a little bit of depth to some of these. So I have my gray granite marker, and I'm using the brush tip to just color over these and darken them up a bit. For my title, I believe the word Cenote, I just used Cricut Sans font, and then Adventure was actually part of another pre-designed layout. So I just kind of isolated it, took the word adventure from that, and then I brought in an arrow, put it in between, and then, like I said, created an offset for the entire image. You'll see the word cenote is in Coastal Cabana. Here's a little tip for you. There's Chat GTP, which is an AI app. You can ask it the hex code for any color and specifically say, what is the hex code for Stampin' Up's Calypso Coral, and it will give it to you in a nanosecond, and then you can enter that color into your Cricut design space, highlight that word and then adjust the color, and you put in the hex code, and then it'll pop up perfectly and match your layout exactly. I'm cutting a larger rock to fill this space here. I just freehanded that one. I figured it's not hard. So I like the way that kind of fills that space there. I feel like this needs something. I like the cluster. I'm happy with this, but we need to punch it up with some color. This is Calypso Coral Cardstock, and I'm thinking of matting that main photo there and maybe a strip. So I cut a 1/4 inch by 12 inch strip of the cardstock, and I'm going to run it through the transition here between my pebble paper and my stalactites. And yeah, that is making a big difference. I really like that. So we'll repeat that on this side here. And I don't want to overdo it with this color. I just want to add a few accents of it. So I went ahead and cut a 4x6 photo mat. Well, it's slightly larger. It's actually 4 1/2. And we're going to offset it just to give it a little bit of character there. Maybe about like that. And then we can bring our title back in. I'm going to tuck that under the other photo, cover the bottom. Yes, that is exactly what that needed. Let's bring our cute little bats back in for the top of the photo area here. And then earlier I mentioned we drove through the jungle and I was considering adding leaves. So I turned to my stash and cut out a bunch of these jungly looking monstera leaves. from Garden Green. This is an old die set from Close to My Heart, so it's no longer available. I know Stampin' Up! Had a punch, and I actually have that too, but I wanted to use these because there's two different sizes. So that punch is no longer available either, but you may have it in your stash. So leaves are always a great thing. They're timeless, and you can use them over and over and over again. So I'm just adding them to each of my clusters here. And yeah, I love that. I think I want to cut two more, and up there around my journaling, maybe tuck some in on this side just so they're not all identical. This adds some variety. So we'll have them coming out both sides. And then I really wanted to kind of play up the memory of the little fish swimming around. So I die cut a bunch of these from Calypso Coral. That is from this, where are they? There it is, a set of fish. And they also have a school of fish that you could stamp on the background too. So if I don't like the way these look, I could always do like a tone on tone where it's a subtle detail. But like I said, this was kind of a big part of the memory. They were really cool, and I loved seeing them swim around with the water all lit up. So I think that this will help kind of capture that memory. Let's put some up here, like they're swimming in a school together. Maybe we need a few more down here. I've got a whole bunch of these cut, so let's just elongate this cluster. They kind of remind me of the fish from the series Chosen. If you know, you know. In the beginning, the intro, they have all the little fish swimming. So this looks fun. I am going to commit. I'm picking them up with the wax putty tip on my Take Your Pick tool, and then just a little dollop of glue, pop those back into place, easy peasy. I'll do the upper ones off camera. And then I added some of these dots, the clear ones that look like, or the bluish ones that look like water. They just accent water drops around each of these clusters. You can see them there. And I love the way the rocks turned out, the little fish. For not having any plan for embellishing this layout, I'm really proud of myself because I am very happy with how it came together, and I'm glad I put it away and came back to it when I was feeling inspired. Have you ever done that where you're just struggling with the layout so you walk away from it and revisit it on another day? If so, you are in good company. We all do it from time to time. Everything I use that is available can be found in the description box below. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you very soon here on YouTube.